and deliver fertilizer or any subsidy as close as possible, not to end up at the county level, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the President's speech and appreciate and thank him for that speech. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
The Honorable David Kiplagat, member for Soy. Okay, next is I have the Honorable Dorothy Kiara. Okay, somebody should pull out DK's card.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate and laud the President for his very elaborate message to the Kenyans 1 year after getting into office. Honorable
Professor Kipto, Barto, you have pressed the button and then now she's leaving. That's fine.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza regime aimed at addressing 3 primary challenges: external shocks, physical distress, and structural imbalances. The national revenue, Honorable Speaker, is 2.4 trillion and our debt redemption is 1.2 trillion. I have the revenue. And the interest is around 600 billion, Honorable Speaker, a quarter of the revenue. Part of the measures taken are to subsidize production, to ensure agriculture transformation, and putting money into those at the bottom of the pyramid. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this because when the President was campaigning, he campaigned on the platform of the bottom-up economy. Honorable Speaker, by increasing the velocity of money into the market, this is what will revive our economy when we look at what has happened even in other countries like East Asia, where industrialization took place alongside green revolution. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, the government aims at addressing the forex risk as an important driver of the microeconomic instability. Honorable Speaker, having listened keenly to the address by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, I noted he is very key in 3 areas, Honorable Speaker. 1, the issue of job creation to our youth was not a myth, but a reality that His Excellency has tried to address. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, we all appreciate the 56,000 jobs that are already in existence, courtesy of what the President promised when he was signing the education charter during his campaign. Honorable Speaker, other than the 56,000 teachers, the President has gone ahead to give Kenyans hope in an education system that the Kenyans were not very sure it will succeed. Honorable Speaker, the President came in office amidst a lot of disquiet in the moment when people are not sure that the curriculum-based, the competence-based curriculum will succeed. Honorable Speaker, the President, in his wisdom, after ensuring that 56,000 teachers are employed, he also went ahead and made sure that the stalemate that was there in allowing our children to go to teacher training colleges, which had stalled for 3 years, he lifted that, Honorable Speaker, and today we have a total of 20,456 teachers being trained as diploma teachers to handle the curriculum-based, the competence-based curriculum. Honorable Speaker, apart from the teachers, Honorable Speaker, we note that investing also in the substantive blue economy is thus very critical in the survival of our world and humanity. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza government and the President of the Republic of Kenya is very key at ensuring that we invest in our waters and in our oceans. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I am proud to be associated with what the President is currently doing investing and bringing up 22,000 new fish landing sites. These sites will not only create an opportunity for our youth to get employment, they will also be a source of revenue for this country because the production of fish is very, very critical in our country. Honorable Speaker, I want to head by saying His Excellency the President also in the education sector has ensured that every person in this country gets an opportunity to be in a credible institution.
I'll give her 1 minute to finish the sentence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this is the reason why, Honorable Speaker, I wrote His Excellency, because the promise of the Open University has become a reality. And Honorable Speaker, by January next year, we will proudly invite 1,000 students who will be registered, thus fulfilling Article 43 of our Constitution. Honorable Speaker, in the matter of addressing corruption, which puts the government at the bands as a house, we can assist the government greatly by finalizing on the asset declaration and conflict of interest bill to further tighten anti-corruption policy framework and eliminate space for corruption and achieve the bottom-up transformation agenda. Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Naivasha, Honorable Jane Kihara. Honorable Kibagendi, you're number 4
Madam
on the
Speaker.
list. I'm following the list. So you
Madam
can't
Speaker,
protest
thank
if
you
you
very
didn't come on
much.
time. Proceed, Honorable Kihara.
Very much for giving me this chance just to talk about the presidential address. Madam Speaker, I was not in the House when it was delivered. I was out of the country. But being part of the Kenya Kwanza government and the plan, I know whatever the president said is in line with what he promised Kenyans. And it is my support, being a staunch supporter of Kenya Kwanza government, to support the issues he said, the deliverables that I have seen, especially on the side of education. Madam Speaker, this is the highest number of teachers we have seen employed since we got independence. Madam Speaker, the fertilizer reduction of price from 6,500 to 2,500 tells me that Kenyans will have food security and also employment. We know agriculture is one big employer, and as it has been said, the education, the CBC, some of us would not even understand what it was. But when he came, he restructured to our understanding, and now we know the benefits because we are able to address it. We address to the talents of the people. The challenges that we have gotten, Madam Speaker, from COVID-19 and the drought has taught us many lessons. Madam Speaker, on Monday we had a public holiday to plant trees. He has been talking, the president has been talking about environment, climate change. I would like to thank him for giving us that day, and we saw it that actually everybody was out to plant trees. That tells us that we are going to address the climate change, we are going to have more forest cover, and I think this is what that he's been talking about. About the economy, yes, it has not picked up, but we are optimistic that this is going to happen. We need to give the government a bit of time. My biggest worry is corruption. Madam Speaker, there has to be a splendid way of addressing corruption, because this is something that has not come out very clearly, because we don't want him to be seen to addressing corruption and not taking action. We'd like action to be taken to those ones who are pulling him down when he's addressing the economy of this country. And having not been around here and not had a chance, I'm just looking at this there's a print. But even from the side headings, subheadings, it tells me that this country is headed for greater heights. Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Rachel Nyamai, member for Kitui, not yet. Okay, I think we can go to the Honorable member for Gatanga, Wakili Muriu. After that, we'll have Charles Ngusia and then Anthony Kibagendi, going like that.
Madam Speaker, I write support the presidential speech to the nation, which was in compliance with Article 132 of our Constitution. And Madam Speaker, I have got two issues which I like this country to understand, stemming from the presidential speech. Number one, Madam Speaker, we need to appreciate that the Constitution 2010 came with an expanded government and therefore an expanded expenditure which was not matched by the generation of revenue. And therefore, the first two terms from 2010 to 2022, when this constitution was being implemented, it meant that the government then had to borrow tremendously to ensure that they are able to cover the huge expenditure of running a bloated government to a tune of 10 trillion. Madam Speaker, the President addressed that issue very critically because he said very clearly, though the previous government had borrowed heavily to a tune of close about 10 trillion, this country cannot afford to continue borrowing because you cannot be able, number one, continue borrowing to support the consumption. And Madam Speaker, he also addressed the issue on what is the country doing to ensure that we do not go to the direction of Zimbabwe, direction of Zambia, direction of Ghana, direction of Greece, and even Sri Lanka, where those countries have defaulted on their national debt obligation, and therefore their rating in the international financial institutions have come down crumbling. And Madam Speaker, it's good to mention this, that if there is an existential danger of this country, is that our debt. And I think, Madam Speaker, the President has addressed that issue succinctly, in the sense that we need, number one, to raise our own revenue. Number two, we need to have the sight of our debt in such a way that we are ready to pay our debts when they fall due. Madam Speaker, you find that the Eurobond is falling due, and the President assured this country that that amount of money, the government is ready to pay that debt. Because the danger of not paying that debt, Madam Speaker, is that this country, it will lose its own sovereignty in the eyes of the financial institutions. Today, we are complaining about high taxation, but the consequence of defaulting in terms of paying tax, paying the debt, is that, number one, there will be spiral inflation, and number two, our shilling will be highly dilapidated in terms of value, and number four, Madam Speaker, in the eyes of international standards, this country will be downgraded, and therefore, the fact that the President say, look, we need to ensure, number one, digitize our revenue, so at least there is no revenue leakage, and number two, ensure that our debts are paid at the right time. Madam Speaker, that is a step in the right direction. The second issue, Madam Speaker, is that the President addressed the issue of education. Education, Madam Speaker, is the equalizer between the rich and the poor. A country can only be able to progress if it has people or population which is well educated. And therefore, the fact that we are able to plug 600 billion in this financial year to support the education, the fact that we've been able to ensure that we have employed 56,000 new teachers under the TSC to educate our children, we are putting the right steps in the right direction. Finally, Madam Speaker, it's about the food. We can talk about many things, Madam Speaker, but if this country is hungry, a hungry man is an angry man. And that issue that has been addressed by the president by making sure that we have cheap fertilizer for our people. Madam Speaker, finally, is about the youth unemployment, which is a big problem in this country. And the fact that there's intervention on digitization, the EPZ, the housing programs, which again is addressing the issue of employment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the President's speech. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Member for Mwingi West, Honorable Charles Ngusia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this presidential speech, Madam Speaker. Coming from one of the smartest politicians I've ever seen in this country, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. Madam Speaker, if I can rate the president politically, he is scoring 100%. Economically, below average. Socially, below average. But Madam Speaker, let me engage on the issues of speech. I will appreciate the expression which came out in regards to agriculture. The issues of subsidized fertilizer. Madam Speaker, this one was done. But Madam Speaker, there is still need to stress out. Majority of this country's agricultural inputs doesn't rely much on fertilizer, Madam Speaker. We need a lot to be done in arid and semi-arid zones, Madam Speaker. Issues of provision of water instead of fertilizer could actually boost our agricultural productivity. Then there was issue in agriculture, which His Excellency touched, Madam Speaker, and expansion of post-harvest storage facilities. Madam Speaker, this has been done, but there is need for equitable distribution of the same across the country. Only few areas have experienced the benefit. We need to see things happening all over the country without discrimination or favor. The issues of community health workers, Madam Speaker, that's positive to our country. And that is one thing I just allowed our president. We have seen it happening in the country, and we need it enhanced to ensure that the project is sustainable. Madam Speaker, there are issues of education. Yes, we have implemented a new curricular activity in terms of education, 55,000 teachers employed. But we have come short of expressing who are these teachers employed in terms of ethnic balance, regional balance, and many other things, Madam Speaker. It is high time we interrogate this, and I have seen there's still bias in it, Madam Speaker. STOT project, which is infrastructure. I recall our CS, Murkomen, when he was on the floor of the House, he stressed out the need to complete STOT projects in this country. And Madam Speaker, in my constituency, I'm one of the mostly and first affected by this STOT project, the Kabat Migwani Bondoni Road, which is supposed to connect 8 counties, Madam Speaker. There is need for President to come out clearly and explore a good strategy on how he is going to complete the issues of STOT project, Madam Speaker. And I know this is not only affecting Mwingi West, it is affecting the whole countries. The previous administration started so many projects, and if we don't complete them, we will be wasting public resources, Madam Speaker. There's need to follow the Vision 2030 project, which was initiated by President Mwai Kibaki. Madam Speaker, the issues of electrification should have come out clearly on how we are going to deal with the issues of blackouts, issues of new project in this. We need to connect each and every Kenyan with electricity, Madam Speaker. I never heard of that being stressed, Madam Speaker. Of course, the climax of the debate, and I would like to agree with the President said, we must admit that as a country, we had been living large and way beyond our means. The time has come, therefore, to retire the false comforts and illusionary benefits of wasteful expenditure and counterproductive subsidies on consumption, which we dunk ourselves deeper into the all of avoidable deaths, Madam Speaker.
Allow him a minute to complete his sentence.
I acknowledge, Madam Speaker, what the President said, and I really empathize with this country. We need to pay all the debts, and I'm praying for the success of this country, because the success of Kenya will be success of everybody. Whether you are supporting government or you are against the government, let us pray for the success of Kenya, for the benefits of our Kenyan, and let us pay debts. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kitutu Churches South, Honorable Anthony Kibagendi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity for me to also contribute to this. While we appreciate that Kenya is a continuous work in progress, we must also agree and be able to do things in the right way and use the right terminologies. When the President stated here that the government has employed close to 60,000 teachers, that was inappropriate, because the only teachers that have been employed are about 10,000. The rest of the teachers are on internship program. The other thing that the President did not address was on matters national cohesion and national integration.
What is your point of order, Honorable Bayer?
Honorable Speaker, I think this is a house of records. This is a house that relies on data. This is a house of truth. For the Honorable Kibagendi to rise on his place and claim that what the President said in terms of the 60,000, approximately 6,000 teachers being employed is incorrect, is actually trying to lower the dignity of this house. Because the statistics are there. TSC would give you the statistics that the people that are employed as interns are different from the ones that have been given PPP jobs. And the information is out there and everybody knows about it. But to disparage the presidential speech to say such things as he says is actually out of order. Unless the Honorable Kibagendi substantiates, I think it is good manners to withdraw untruths. So I would really ask whether get the data from TSC, bring it here so that it shows us these are permanent and pensionable and these are PMP. What he has said should be expunged from the record of the House. Thank you and apologize.
Honorable Kibagendi, do you have confirmation from TSC that no teachers were in fact employed but that they were interns? Yes or no? Do you have?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm one of the youngest members of Parliament who is on research.
Honorable Kibagendi.
Yes, it is factual that 9,100 teachers were employed on permanent basis. The rest are interns. That is the truth.
Honorable Kibagendi,
yes.
If you make that allegation, you have the duty to substantiate.
So you should have. That is the truth, Madam Speaker.
No, I'm not asking for you to say the truth from yourself. You should have a document or
it is
from the
that
TSC
one,
site.
It is even in all sites, in all websites,
no,
even in
we don't talk about. We are talking about the official TSC. Do you have an official?
Madam Speaker, these are the facts. These are the facts.
We'll ask you to withdraw that, unless you can bring it back later if you have it.
I can bring it back later.
Okay, now withdraw.
Okay, I withdraw. Do I proceed? But Madam Speaker, while at it, when they talk about 60,000 teachers, we did not see them substantiating the claims, because even that is a claim. But let me proceed. The President did not address the issue of national cohesion and equitable distribution of national resources and job opportunities We've had a committee here in Parliament demonstrate that jobs were created, a few jobs that were created at KRA were unfairly distributed amongst a few communities, which I thought the president, that's a national issue he should have addressed. The other thing is about the president being misinformed by those who give him data on the issue of the gentleman called Karisa from Coast Province, who has accessed 714 million from the Hustler Fund. That 714,000, who wanted to be given more access to be able to purchase a tuk-tuk. With 714,000, that gentleman can actually buy 2 of those tools of trade that he can use to generate income. What I can say again is that the government hasn't given a clear indicators on job creation for youth. When the president talks about 50,000 jobs created in the construction industry, not all young Kenyans, not all youth are fundis. Most young Kenyans would hope to get job opportunities far beyond the construction industry. And the president ought to also have spoken about job losses in the steel industry, in the banking industry, and in the various industries that we've had job losses.
What's your point of order, Honorable Nyamai?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I have interrupted my colleague, the Honorable Kibagendi, again on matter of fact. When I look at the presidential speech on page 12 and 13, the president has specifically talked about different cadres of our youths, talking about the Juakali sector and going further to explain about engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, and all that. Is it in order, Honorable Speaker, for the Honorable Kibagendi to only go to the negatives and ignore all the positives? For example, what is on page 12 and page 13, as clearly stipulated. Honorable Speaker, is it in order?
Your point of order, Honorable Dawood.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Kibagendi has misrepresented the President's speech, where the President talked about Karisa accessing 714,000. It is in bits, and he said 714,000 he could have bought 2 tuk-tuks. But you do not access 714 in one go. So he said he should have been able to buy those 2 tuk-tuks. So I want him to correct those facts. It's on page 11, number 40.
Honorable Kibagendi, you want to make reference to the speech? You've looked at it?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is something that I've read severally. I listened to the President, and I know what I'm talking about. When I talk about Honorable Nyamai, what Honorable Nyamai has asked, it's the entire of what she's talking about is around the construction industry. And that is what I clearly stated. Job opportunities that young people in Kenya need are beyond the construction industry. When you talk about quantity surveyors, engineers, it is purely in the construction industry. And on the issue that honorable member from Meru has raised is that at this point, Karisa is able to access 714 million, not in total. It is at this point that is able to access that. So that should be able to guarantee the gentleman an opportunity to buy 2 motorbikes. For me to get to the... yes.
Honorable Kibagendi, if someone accesses an amount of money, it is for them to decide what they shall buy with it, not for you to tell them what is a better idea, because you're not in his business. So I think you're really over-speculating on that one. Huh? Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
just
Madam
proceed.
Speaker. Thank you, Madam
and
Speaker.
stick to factual things that are in the speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. Leave out your speculation.
The problem here, Madam Speaker, is we are accepting speculation from those that are supporting the president and not agreeing to the facts that I'm presenting. But let me proceed. We are saying the government is late on its promises and its bills. And it is time the government transformed its lofty visions into actual projects and services to the people of this republic that gave them an opportunity to serve. Thank you, Madam Speaker, despite all the interruptions. Thank you.
The Honorable Rachel Nyamai. You'll be next, Honorable Murugara.
Yes. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much for also indulging me earlier. First of all, I would like to congratulate the President and start by saying that it is not easy, Honorable Speaker, to lead a country. It is very difficult to lead. And it is easier to oppose, to say no to everything that is done. So I would like to take this opportunity as the member for Kitui South to congratulate the President for the first 1 year from where he started at the situation that he found the country and where he has been able to push the country this far. Honorable Speaker, he was able, the President, His Excellency, the President was able to put down matters of this country from health to security to agriculture and to everything that pertains to this country in only 1 hour and 6 minutes, Honorable Speaker. And I would like to say that, to congratulate him for that. Madam Speaker, I will go to matters that touch on my constituency directly and start with the issue of employment of teachers. I would like to thank the President because I have seen teachers employed in my constituency, in primary schools, in secondary schools, in both Ikuda and Mutoma sub-counties, and also in the newly registered JSS schools. And I would like to just call for more, that when another opportunity comes, Honorable Speaker, be it teachers being permanently employed, be it teachers being on temporary employment, I am welcoming employment of all teachers in whichever way in my constituency, because my constituency and many other constituencies in rural areas are highly understaffed. Honorable Speaker, I will go also direct to the matter of reduction of cost of fertilizer. Madam Speaker, we are aware that fertilizer in this country about a year ago cost 6,500 shillings, and it has now been pushed down by the President to 2,500. Honorable Speaker, this is a reduction of 4,000 shillings. The other part which I would like to congratulate the President is because of working together and collaborating with counties. Because we used to have patches of fertilizer in other times. But this time, fertilizer is purchased. The President is able to work with the counties, and we are able to see distribution of fertilizer in our counties. And with the rains, the current rains, Honorable Speaker, we are looking forward to increased production of maize, especially in Kitui County. We look forward to increased production of maize. Honorable Speaker, we have also seen reduction of the cost of unga from 250 per packet, which was impossible. Now, Madam Speaker, this has gone to an average of about 150, and we cannot take this for granted. During the time that we were campaigning, Madam Speaker, it was 250, and now the price has gone to 150. I believe that it will go lower. What we can ask for is further reduction of cost of goods that are used within the households, and we'd like to ask the President to also look at this. Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that as a member of Parliament and as a member of Kitui South and also a member of various committees in this House, I would like to thank the President for giving us a product from his travels abroad. Madam Speaker, there is no way the President can make multilateral and bilateral agreements when he is seated here. We have seen these agreements that have been made, and we are looking forward to seeing possibilities of more business in this country within our business women and men who have really been looking forward to these agreements being done, agreements on taxation and others. Honorable Speaker, I would also like to say that another product of travel is that there is no way the President can sit down and not engage IMF, DFID, ADB. It is by these travels that the President has been able to engage, come with agreements that are going to be useful for this country, signed loans that are going to be useful so that we can have development. As I finish, Madam Speaker, I would like to say that the housing sector is going to give us various houses, social housing, affordable housing, and also the market rate housing. It is also going to give jobs to our children, those who are in the Juakali sector, and also our highly educated young people who are engineers, and all the other high cadre, those who have done very high-level degrees. So it is taking care of Juakali, and it's also taking care of those who are highly educated. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity.
The Honorable Sir George Murugara, member for Tharaka.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, last Thursday we had the State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President, and we are required to debate this particular speech for the next 3 days. Madam Speaker, I know many people will say we are giving His Excellency the President accolades where they are not due, but I got to start by saying, number one, the speech was given in a timely space of time because Kenyans are expectant. They want to hear what this government has done for the last 1 year. And it is not just the government. We as members of parliament are also being called to book, to tell constituents what we have done the last 1 year. His Excellency the President gave a statesmanship address, composed, and allayed the expectations of Kenyans on negativity and gave us hope. He spoke on a wide range of issues, including cost of living, where he confirmed that the only way we can reduce cost of living is by subsidizing production. And he has given emphasis on fertilizer and seeds for planting. He also spoke on the evidence the country has, which debts are actually increasing without borrowing because our shilling is losing value against the international currency, including the dollar. We have to repay these debts, otherwise if we default, everybody will actually rank Kenya as a failed state. He spoke on petroleum products, whose prices should be coming down, and we expect this to happen, in spite of the fact that the government has no control on the prices at international level. As we move along, we are expectant that the prices of petroleum products will be coming down. It's important also to say he was a caring and listening president, because as he gave his speech, we had just seen the legal notices that had come along from the Minister for Interior, my constituent Professor Kithure Kindiki. And Kenyans were up in arms. There was a hue and cry regarding the cost of services to Kenyans. We are happy to see that the government has listened to this and has actually now published reductions, recommended reductions, and these are to be subjected to public participation. This is what a listening and caring government should actually be doing. There was a paragraph or two on employment, which is very important. And employment in the country, as enunciated by the president, cannot come in any other way save as through investments. This is why the president has to visit foreign countries so that he's able to attract investment for our country and to ensure that the youth who are languishing in unemployment are able to secure employment. It is important also to talk about the teachers, whom he clearly mentioned that we have employed over 56,000 teachers. Whether these are interns, they are permanent and pensionable, these are young trained teachers who are now going to classrooms to teach. Hope for the interns is that as soon as they complete their term of internship, they are actually able to secure jobs. And these jobs will be permanent and pensionable. The president mentioned about housing, and we have all seen the edifices that are coming up across the country. Beautiful houses that are to be sold to Kenyans so that we can move towards modern living. Very important. The president mentioned about the economic stimulus and empowerment fund. This is called the Hustler Fund. It is doing wonders in the country. People are borrowing, people are repaying, and the fund is revolving as required. Us as members of parliament would be to encourage Kenyans to borrow this money, make use of it, make prudent use of it, and repay so that others are able to benefit. You actually add about health. And here, we don't have to go very high. Let's talk about the CHVPs, the community health promoters. Extremely important. This is a milestone in the way we are doing things, because we need health at the basic grassroots level, where this CHP is able to attend to minor ailments which are afflicting our people at the local level. We add a paragraph on foreign relations, very important, because we live in a global community where we must relate well with other countries in the universe. And we have had Kenyans, some of them complain that the president has made too many trips abroad. We must make friends on the globe. We must also attract other countries to come and invest in our country. This way, we will be able to grow our economy, our jobs will be much better as they are, and therefore, I believe it is welcome. I submit it's welcome for the president to be visiting these countries. A little bit off the line is the issue of 80, where our police officers are supposed to go and try to bring that country to order. There has been debate on this from all quarters, from all levels, and what comes out is clear that Kenya has not volunteered itself. It is the international community that has asked us to actually send our police officers to Haiti so that they are able to help that country bring law and order. And our police officers are more than willing to go there. We are not incurring any expenses. We are training them, and we have done it before. We have had our police officers go to other countries. They have actually provided the required peace. We have had our forces go to other countries, and they have done a fantastic job, including Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, everywhere else, Europe. We were in Bosnia, we were in Herzegovina, and now as we speak, we are back in Africa, Somalia, and DRC Congo. I cannot finish my speech without talking about the expectations of Kenyans on our government. And we cannot say more than we have said, that every Kenyan is expectant. And the only message we have for the country is, let us be patient. Let us repay the debts. Let's see money growing so that we are able to move to development. My constituency, Tharaka, is equally expectant. And it's important to point out that being a marginalized area in the eastern region, we have high expectations. The roads are not good. We are experiencing El Nino. The blame is on the government. The blame is on me as their member of parliament, that the government is not going down to work on those roads. We really have to inform the government. As soon as the rains subside, let us move down to the entire country, fix our road network so that our citizens can enjoy communication. Electricity supply is short in Tharaka, is short everywhere else in the country. We have to move in and improve connection to the national grid. Tharaka topping this. Water, like now we should be harvesting. There are lots of water that is all draining into the Indian Ocean. In another 1 year, we shall be crying when drought comes. This is the high time we put into place means and ways of harvesting water. Water that will be used in northeastern Kenya, water that will be used in my region, in the constituency of Tharaka, and water that will be used everywhere else it is needed. For my constituency, I call upon the government for affirmative action in matters development. Tharaka is marginalized, Tharaka is arid and semi-arid, and therefore requires to be actually considered in a totally different perspective. With those remarks, I do actually congratulate the president. This speech was balanced. This speech tried to touch on all spheres of life in the country. And what we need to say is, let us wait with the hope we were given by His Excellency, the President. I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Andrew Okuome, member for Karachonyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to put my word on a presidential address to the nation. Madam Speaker, I do know and I acknowledge the fact that Kenyans are a proud people. They want to see the best for this nation. They are crying out for good life. And when the president was giving his speech, in my mind I was analyzing and seeing the benefits and advantages we were going to get from the president's speech. I had in mind what Kenyans are facing as we move along today and relate that with the speech I expected the president to make. Madam Speaker, the key issue Kenyans are talking about, and which is extremely important, is the cost of living. If you do not address this adequately, the value of your speech, however good it may be, goes down. It is my opinion, Madam Speaker, that the President did not fully meet the expectation of the Kenyan population on the cost of living. People are suffering. I don't need to elaborate on this. Although he said the cost of maize has gone down, if it has, Madam Speaker, I want to say that this is not on ground. At least if I check what's happening in my own area or the region I come from, the cost of living in terms of maize is still as high as it was earlier after we had passed the budget 23-24. I therefore expected not just some good wishes and intentions. I expected the president to tell us strong methods he has taken to reduce the price, Madam Speaker. I know this is caused very much with the cost of fuel. Madam Speaker, the President avoided to talk on this. And yet it's fuel which is igniting this suffering to the Kenyan population. Yes, the President has said, and it is the policy of the government, that they cannot subsidize consumption. They want to subsidize production. Yes, that might look very good. But using this wholesale is not addressing the Kenyan's interest. Have in mind the same fuel I'm talking about. It is a very, very essential, commodity the Kenyan need. In fact, here is where the president should come up with a full control so that people don't suffer. Because once this goes out of the way, the life goes out of the way as well. Before, in the last regime, they subsidized petrol. And I was told if you do this, you are not going to make Kenya competitive. Yet, at that time, when subsidy was being given for petrol, and Kenyan shillings was also supported, we remained competitive a lot more than we are today. If somebody wants to find for me why I'm saying that, Uganda, our neighbor here who has been with us all along the road have left us. They are now importing their own fuel direct. And the price they are paying is now lower. Why are we pricing ourselves out of the world market by weakening the Kenya shillings? Kenya shillings should be supported by the government and not let.
The Honorable Gladys Boss, member for Uasin Gishu.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this very important matter. A matter that is clearly provided for in Article 132 of our Constitution, that requires the President to report through a State of the Nation address or an address to the nation all measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of national values. These particular measures in the report and the progress in the report are required by the same Article 132 to be gazetted in the official Kenya Gazette. So for those such as Honorable Kibagendi, who are alluding to the fact that the facts in the report are not accurate, must understand that this is a legal document. It is a gazette notice, which means should you have any challenge about it, you can legally challenge the publication in the gazette and that line, and then request for an order that an addendum or a corrigenda be put in the official Kenya Gazette. It cannot be by simply raising superfluous statements here in the House. It must be factual. So I dare those to do that. Honorable Speaker, as I rise to lend my voice to this debate, I wish to use this opportunity to congratulate the head of state for this exemplary speech. The head of state was honest of the fact that he took over a government that was having fiscal challenges, that he took over a government that was having a sinking economy, that he took over a government that was wrought with unemployment, that he took over a government that we had challenges in our education sector. He took over a government that we had challenges in our health sector. He was honest about it. He did not say that it's a rosy picture. He also indicated, and we know for a fact, that there were two choices. Either the head of state buries his head in the sand, decides to be a popular leader, and continue subsidies, subsidizing petroleum, subsidize food, so that everyone can clap and cheer on. But that was not going to be sustainable. Eventually, the country would have sunk. There was the other choice which he has taken, to undertake serious interventions and focus on certain programs that may be painful in the short run, but will pay off in the long run with a complete economic transformation of this country. Honorable Speaker, what is positive about the report and is that it addresses the challenges that Kenyans had. Kenyans have had challenges with education, both the funding to education and their own ability to pay. Kenyans have had a challenge with affordable credit. Kenyans have had a challenge with affordable housing and housing in general. Kenyans have had a challenge with health care. Kenyans have had a challenge with the agriculture sector, which is the backbone of our economy. Kenyans have had a challenge with services. and many other challenges. In setting out the measures taken, the President has given us the interventions that have been undertaken by government, which he leads, on the education sector. One is the shortage of teachers by the employment of 56,000 plus or thereabouts teachers, the retraining of 8,200 teachers, and then on the university education, we all know that our universities were going bankrupt.
Please give her 3 more minutes. You had, please give her the mic.
Okay, thank you for that. And with that, we knew that our universities had debts. And now, universities are being funded because the funding methodology is student-centered. So the funding follows the student, not funding even when you don't have students. Also, the establishment of COOPs, which has ensured that we have a central admission system that is able to ensure that students are able to get full access to scholarships to study. Also, access to education by having the Open University being chartered. Affordable credit has been resolved by establishment of the Hustler Fund and also by bearing pressure to the various fintechs who have since reduced the interest rates. On affordable housing, which not only creates employment, but also it ensures that we realize Article 43 of our Constitution that says every Kenyan has a right to housing that has sanitation and is affordable. The revolution of NHIF to ensure universal health care by establishment of the Social Insurance Fund, the Facilities Fund, and the Digital Fund will go a long way in ensuring that every Kenyan has access to health care. And the establishment of the Kenya Health Human Resources Advisory Council, it will help the inequality that exists in the human resources of the health sector. Agriculture has been revamped through the sugar, the rescuing of the sugar companies, there's the coffee, the cherry coffee fund, coolers being put there and dryers for farmers, and also the fertilizer subsidy. Improvement of services through digitization to wananchi is also welcome. And lastly, fiscal policy interventions. One, ensuring that we normalize our relations with the International Monetary Fund. And lastly, the Eurobond, that for the first time we have paid a quarter of the amount installment, and that the promise that we shall retire the Eurobond by June of next year. Thank you for the opportunity, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, from my left, number 1 to 12 are on the left side. So I'll purposively go and pick a few members from my left. Majority of those who have interest, who have indicated interest from number 1, almost from number 1 to 12 are on my left. So honorable members, I will go to the member, Honorable Parasina Sakimba, member for Kajiado South. Is he in the house? All right.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll also stand to make some comments on the President's address to the nation, when the President came here and addressed the nation. And on that one, I would like to make some few comments. One, I was impressed on the issue of Inspector General making him an accounting officer, and thus achieving making the Police Service Commission to be independent. Number 2,
what is out of order, honorable member for Garissa?
Madam Speaker,
is that the honorable member for Garissa?
Yes, honorable member for Garissa, Deko Baro.
Garissa Township.
Correct. Madam Speaker, while I respect your ruling, that you will be giving some members from the other side, who have just come into the chambers and we're here since 9:30, it will be unfair. So consider consider, Madam Speaker, that some of us have been here since 9:30 waiting for the same chance. Thank you.
Well, Honorable Member for Garissa, you are not out of order. You are in order, and I will tell you that I'm going to consider that. I was just sensitive to the fact that all the interventions that I'm seeing are on my right, but I'll endeavor to do what I have said. So I'll stick to what I have said, but I'll take into consideration what you have said. Please proceed. The member who was on, that was the Honorable Parasina Sakimba, member for Kajiado. Please proceed.
Let me produce, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much. Like I was saying, I support and I support the presidential address. One of the issues that I got to my attention is making the Inspector General of Police and Accounting Officer, making that institution fully independent. Number two, the repayment plan of paying the debts to a tune of 500 billion. So much welcome. And that is my plea that once that one is being executed, there are areas still which are under disadvantage. For example, in Kajiado South, whereby because of the heavy rain now, we are seeing a lot of damages to our roads, which make them impassable, and our people able to transport their food and produce. Madam Speaker, we are so much happy on the creation of 400 markets across the country. That one is going to enable our people to be able to transact well. We understand some of them are doing the kibandas, and it's making them not able to take advantage of the market because of challenges of weather. The other issue is about the ICT hub centers that the President was talking about them. This was going to make our country more digital and encourage our youth to take advantage of the issue of ICT, because the world is changing towards that area. The other issue is about the recruitment process of men and women in the uniform in the security sector. He said that 75% will be given to the people who are, or the recruits from NYS. That one is going to encourage our youth to participate in the program of NYS. Sometimes they say that there's nothing they gain from there apart from them going through small training. The issue is also the other advantage of that program, it is going to discourage a lot of corruption. Sometimes during the recruitment process, people are supposed to give money, people are supposed to do this and this, and people are given jobs on knowing who you know, and even selection being done in Nairobi. So by the time you're going to give NYS, we are going to pick the people who are so much interested in that job. The teachers, the issue of teachers is also very welcome. We are seeing this one bringing a lot of impact in our constituencies, and we also need to say if more chances are going to be available, this is very much welcome. Madam Speaker, we need to just to comment on the issue of the housing project. This issue of making that sure available, any person is given an opportunity to get a house is a good idea. But some of us who are coming from disadvantaged areas or far from the mainstream, main cities like Mombasa or Nairobi or Nakuru, like in Kajiado South, we need to see how by when are we going to be reached in the program of housing, because that is also going to help our people, as we are going to see that. The issue of community health workers getting money, the 50-50 arrangement, that the county government gives 50%, something like 50%, and national government gives 50%. I can assure that those people are so much happy, and those are the programs that we need to encourage, and we are so happy. I will not take much time, because I see many members have interest. I support the presidential address to the nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Mary Maingi, member from where?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to comment on this very important presidential speech. Madam Speaker, during economic downturns, large corporations often lay off employees to cut down on costs and to maintain profitability. Small-scale businesses play a critical role in promoting economic resilience and stimulating economic growth. The President, in his address, mentioned about the exemplary performance of the Hustler Fund with a disbursement of 36.6 billion, 2.3 billion in savings, 7.5 million of repeat borrowers, and an overall repayment rate of up to 73%. I would also like to observe that the President, in his speech, mentioned about the passing into law of the Universal Healthcare Bill that constitutes of the Primary Healthcare Act, the new Social Health Insurance Act, the Digital Health Act, the Facility Improvement Financing Act to provide health care to all Kenyans. This, Madam Speaker, is going to see all Kenyans access quality health care in our health facilities. Majority of our Kenyans cannot even afford to get themselves to a health facility because they can't even afford fare. When we talk of promotive, preventive health care, we are going to see community health care workers go to people's doorstep and attend to people with minor ailments. And that is going to result into a very healthy workforce because people who are not healthy cannot go to work. Madam Speaker, the President also mentioned about the employment of 56,750 teachers. This is going to reduce the deficit in our teaching staff, and as a result, we are going to have an improved teacher-student contact. Overall, we are going to have an improved quality of education in our learning institutions. Madam Speaker, allow me to congratulate the President in his speech, which was full of inspiration and hope for all Kenyans. And with that, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Aden Mohamed, member for Wajir East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for affording me this opportunity. I stand to support the speech of His Excellency the President. There were so many good things in that speech: digital transformation, more teachers for our schools, universal health care, and all that. But Madam Speaker, and fertilizer for agriculture and for coffee and things like that. But Madam Speaker, I come from a region called Northern Kenya, a region that has been marginalized for so many years. Madam Speaker, I am cognizant of the fact that there was sessional paper number 10 of 1965, which has prioritized development along the railway line. A lot of the things that were in the President's speech look to be a duplicate of that sessional paper. Madam Speaker, 3/4 of this nation is arid and semi-arid, and the mainstay of that 3/4 of this nation is livestock. I have not heard any mention of the livestock industry in the President's speech. I find that it's something that was omitted and something that should be of importance to this nation. Madam Speaker, our President is very strong on climate change. Actually, he is a global ambassador and champion